All right. Thank y'all so much for your patience. Michelle McKay here, coming to you live from Oxford, Mississippi, for this amazing call called Why You Need These Drops. And oftentimes, y'all know that Cynthia and I, the M&C show, we often pray about what is the theme for tonight? What would touch the most people's hearts on this call tonight? So we pray that you have lots of guests, lots of prospects, and of course, a lot of our brand partners. And we want you to put in the chat how many guests you've brought in today. But the overwhelming theme that we three have heard today is, y'all, I don't know what's going on in my body. I just don't feel good. I don't have any energy. I'm fatigued. I'm not sleeping well, but the doctor says that my labs are normal and that everything is just absolutely fine. But I know something is wrong in my body and something is going on. And yes, we know what it is, right, Dale? A lot of times we know it's going to be hormone imbalance or insulin resistance or a combination of both. So, y'all,
Both.
I'm so excited to welcome to our call. I call her our in-house pharmacist, and we love Dale because she gives us such a different view about the drops in all of our products and gives us such amazing education and expertise. So, Dale, take it away, and you just tell us what you think about when people come to you and say, I'm just not feeling great.
So before I knew about the drops, of course, I was like, and trying to do a deeper dive into what may be making them feel not so great. But, when somebody comes to me with and says, I need to get my refills and they've got 8, 10, 12, 15 medicines, they don't feel good and they're not going to feel good until they get to the root of whatever's causing them to need all of those. And it's kind of one of those things. There's always going to be a need for some medications. Obviously, there's always going to be, we're going to need an antibiotic here and there. We're going to need this or that. But instead of just putting a band-aid on everything and kind of moving along and then putting another band-aid on top of that and another band-aid on top of that, we need to keep sort of digging in to see what's really going on that's causing all these things to just kind of go haywire. And a lot of times it comes down to insulin resistance and, hormone imbalance, particularly cortisol imbalance. So I'm thankful for the drops for sure, because I don't really have anything to help you balance your cortisol.
So when people to ask you, Dale, about the drops, when they say they're just not feeling well, what is the first thing that when you suggest the drops, what do you explain to people? Because I want us to go back to basics tonight. And so I think it's amazing time for you to share. How do you share the drops with someone that comes to you in that situation?
So a lot of times people have, seen something about them, heard something about them, and because we reference hormone balancing drops, the majority of people that I have found don't really realize that insulin is a hormone or that cortisol is a hormone. That's our natural steroid hormone, and most people don't realize that. And cortisol has sort of been a buzzword in the last, maybe even couple of years, but people don't realize that we don't really have any control over how much of it we produce. And so the more stress we're under, the more we produce, and it's sort of a vicious cycle. And there's no prescription that I can give you that's going to help you regulate that. They can give you something for stress or depression or anxiety or whatever, but stress comes in different forms. It's not always because of your job or your finances or whatever. It can just be from all sorts of different things. It can be, physical stress on our body, or it can be, it can just manifest in a lot of different ways. And the cortisol balance piece, we see so many people that don't sleep well at all. And if you don't sleep well, you're not going to function well during the day and you're going to feel sluggish and, all the things. And then that just contributes to more stress. And, that adds to the cycle too. But I feel like the cortisol piece, so many people just have poor sleep quality or don't sleep at all, can't fall asleep, can't stay asleep, all the things. So I always stress to people, if you fix that piece of it and you sleep better, you're automatically going to feel better during the day. I mean, it's just, you just function better when you have good quality sleep. I never thought I had trouble sleeping either because I never had trouble falling asleep or staying asleep, but I never really felt rested. And so now it's, it's a game changer when you get good, deep sleep, when you dream and have that really good, deep level of sleep. It's a game changer for your energy level the next day. So that piece of it, and then the addition of the B12, because B12 is one of those things we have tons of people that take B12 shots, which are synthetic. And then people try to supplement, over the counter B12, and it's just so poorly absorbed. But we're getting the best form of B12 absorbed directly into our bloodstream. And it's just, you can't beat it. The combination of sleeping better plus B12, it makes for people feeling much better.
Mhm. Absolutely. And I'll tell you, that's one more theme today that I didn't discuss with either one of you, but I know both of you can speak to it. When people talk about B12, so the methylated form of B12, talk
Right.
about that a little bit, Dayle, because some people, I think, are under the impression that they're maybe sensitive to B12. Talk about that a little bit. I know that's two different things, but talk about the methylated B12 first, and then Cynthia and I may talk back and forth about the sensitivity.
Yeah, absolutely. So the methylated form is the best form. It's the most well absorbed form. It's the natural form. It's the best of the best. And it's hard to come by in supplements. Most of the time, if you see B12 supplements, it's going to be a tablet. Sometimes it'll be like a dissolved tablet under your tongue, but it's not going to be the methylated form. And the tablets that you swallow, very few people can process and absorb adequate amounts of B12 from just a tablet that you swallow. So, they're just sort of wasting their money on those types of supplements, in my opinion. And there again, you can take the B12 shot, but that's the synthetic form of it. And it's still not going directly into your bloodstream. They're putting it in your muscle, hopefully, if you're getting a B12 shot. So I like the methylated form because there again, it's the natural form, it's the most well absorbed, and it's going directly into your bloodstream. So,
And
yeah, the
that's so
sensitivity
important.
piece,
Yes,
it
that's so
is.
important, isn't it? Because you want it to, it's going to help bring those cortisol levels down quicker, right,
Right,
Dale?
right, right. And it's, there's a big mental health piece too with B12 levels. If your B12 levels are not where they need to be, there's a huge piece of that, which is a whole other subject that we'll have to do on a different day when we have more time. But there's a huge piece in the mental health space for, B12 deficiency, folic acid deficiency, all of that. So it's super important that everybody has an adequate level of B12.
And don't you think that's why we have had such great testimonies about anxiety
Absolutely.
being
And then the
lower?
ashwagandha. Yep.
Yes, yes.
You get the B12 up and add the
Anxiety and then
ashwagandha.
depression.
It's a
Yes.
good combination.
Yes. So thank you
Absolutely.
so much for speaking to that, Dale.
Of course.
So that's amazing. So you guys, we're talking about the basics, the foundation, why people come to us about the drops. And this is probably one of the probably that beats all the different symptoms is I just don't feel good. So Cynthia, what would you follow up with on Dayle about just that piece, just the basics, the foundation of hormone imbalance, but truly something that people cannot really identify because they don't, their labs are normal, what have you, just saying, I don't feel good.
That's a kind of loaded question. Dale, awesome job. So glad you're here. But
Thank you.
it's kind of like this. I just got here on two wheels, literally on two wheels from work. My last client today, the best way I can give it to you is a story. This is a true story. She came in, she literally had to hold her head over. You hadn't been in my store, but it's a little chair and a little table. I looked up from a phone call and her head was laying over because she's that tired.
Hmm.
52 years old, no energy, not sleeping, just left the doctor. Her labs are perfect as far as paper. Her eyes are dry. And everything else, I'll just leave it that way. And everything else seemed to be dry. Hot flashes, sleep, not, I said not sleeping, and night sweats, and has gained in 2 weeks 12 pounds.
Wow.
Wow.
12 pounds. So when she went to her doctor's advice basically was, well, we've tested you, you're in menopause. So when you, and I'm gonna just paint the picture for you this way. The reason it's called is so important, why we need these drops and why we got to get them in the hands of millions. She didn't care if those drops was $1,000 today. Not
Mm-mm.
today. Guess what else she didn't need? She didn't need a lot of information. She's a past client. She needs help and she needs help now.
Yeah.
It was such a good feeling to share the drops with her because of what I knew with the methyl B, with the rhodiola, with the ashwagandha, and it was on her digestive system. She doesn't have much of an appetite. Hint, hint, not having an appetite is just as bad as having too much of an appetite.
Like,
The body is, when that cortisol, those levels rise, the body is actually saying, let me shut some systems down because I don't have enough to do. The body is now searching for energy to even do its job. So I guess I thought it was kind of interesting to have that example tonight, the very example that we've been talking about. She ran with the drops, but guess what else she ran with? That's why it takes all of us. She ran out the door with hope.
yes.
So guess what? That's where follow up and all those things come, but she ran out with hope. If I didn't have the drops, if I had never been exposed, never used them, how could I have helped her? So it's so important because now we talk about, we know over half of the people in the world do not use drops for what? Weight loss. I mean, that's a good side effect, but what are people doing? I just took drops. Guess what? I took them to feel good so I could help her. And I believe Dale, Michelle, we took our drops and all of you. So I like what Michelle said, going back to the basics. It's not fancy. It's not what's the word? It's not
Clinical.
it's exciting to me. It's always exciting to me, but it's not sexy, okay? But what is sexy is feeling good, right?
Yes.
I call feeling good
Absolutely.
the new sexy. So yeah,
Yeah.
Michelle, those are the things. And Michelle now at this time, of course, is going to tell us how we get these drops in the hands of billions because that's what it's about, getting them in the hands of billions. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of like everybody, let's all go back to the basics. Who can we help? And how fast can we do it? So back to you, Michelle.
Well,
Hey,
awesome job,
Michelle,
Cynthia
can I
and
add one
Dale.
more thing?
Yes, please.
So
Please.
Cynthia mentioned something a minute ago talking about lab work being normal. And I hear that all the time, and y'all probably do too. That, well, I've been to the doctor, all my lab work is normal. Okay, normal is a textbook number that came from an average of no telling how many people.
That's
Well,
right.
somebody had to be super high and somebody had to be super low to get that average because we all know what an average is, right? So because your numbers are textbook normal, that doesn't mean that that's your normal. My blood pressure is never textbook normal. It's always way lower than that, but that's my normal. So just because your numbers are normal by textbook standards, that doesn't always mean that those are okay and that that's where your numbers really need to be. Just wanted to throw that in there because I'm not textbook normal either, which I think y'all knew. But my blood pressure always runs low, all the things just because that's my normal, but I'm on the low end of that group that created that average.
That's a great point, Dale, because what may be normal for me may be a different level for Cynthia. So it's
Right.
what's going to give you hope? What's going to give you that opportunity to run out the door, like Cynthia said, with hope? And y'all, that is the overwhelming theme of today and really this last week is people just saying, I need hope in my body. It's not so much that they think anything's wrong with their health. Like I said, the lab work's normal for them and normal according to the doctors, or maybe normal towards their baseline that they had a year or two ago, but something's not right in their body. So when we can help people balance their body, balance their hormones, correct the insulin resistance, lower the cortisol levels, and balance their digestion, right? So if we balance that digestive tract, so like Cynthia said, whether they have an appetite or don't have an appetite, they're still a person, they're a prospect for the drops because
Mhm.
their appetite may need to be stimulated or it may need to be controlled a little. So same thing, what's normal for one may be normal for a different person. So great job, ladies. Great job taking it back to the basics. We just want people to feel better. So Cynthia says it. How good can you really feel? So to get your next box of drops, so we've got a lot of guests on this call because we asked for how many guests. So you guys, as I'm talking, y'all take a look at the chat and tell us how many guests. So guests, we're going to tell you how you're going to get your next box, or maybe you don't even have a box of drops yet. So get back to the person who brought you on this call, and you have some options. So we say option number one is retail. How many people on this call like to pay full price for anything? I know I do not. So we just knock number one off. Okay, because retail is not an option. You do not want to pay retail because you can get the boxes for cheaper. Okay, so option number two is you're going to save money on the drops. Option number two. Number three is you can save and earn. So you hear us talk about wanting to get these drops in the hands of billions, and Dayle and Cynthia and I cannot do it all by ourselves. So as you get great results on the drops, we're hoping you're going to share it with other people too to help us meet that goal. So you're going to save and earn. And then number four is you're going to save and earn fast. So if you are a person that knows that you've already got great results on these drops and you want to earn fast just for getting these drops in the hands of many, many, many people and ultimately into the hands of billions, you are a number four. So get back to the person who brought you on this call. That's the guest. That's your call to action. And then you guys who invited the guest, make sure you reach out to ask them, what is your option? Which one did you choose? Number two, number three, number four. And then take it one step further and say, if you were two, three, or four, tell me what time you can get on a call with me and my partner tomorrow or the next day. What time is better, morning, noon, or afternoon? So I'm taking it one step further. So you guys, make sure you do your assignment. And thank you so much for all the guests on the call. Make sure you get back to the person who brought you on the call and give them your answer. And we look forward to seeing you every single Monday night. Cynthia, Dayle, thank you so very much for being on this call. Thankful to take it back to the basics so that we can help people feel better in their body. And we know they can do it on these drops. Everybody have a great night.
You have a